Business Partner B2 Coursebook. Published by Pearson. Copyright Pearson Education Limited 2019.
Unit 1. Recording 1.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. For those of you who have not taken part in focus groups before, I'd like to explain a bit about how they work. It's really important for us to gather information on what customers or users really need and their attitudes towards new products or new ideas. My job as moderator is to ask questions and to keep the discussion on topic. And I encourage people to speak out. There are no right or wrong answers. There are just opinions, and you are very welcome to disagree with each other or compare your experiences or your situations. These groups usually have between 6 and 10 participants so that the conversation is manageable and you are a diverse group but representative of our target customers. Thank you also for agreeing for this session to be recorded. This is only so that I can listen to the discussions again in case there is anything I missed during the session. I hope you enjoy the discussion. Okay, do you have any questions before we start?
No, I think I'm all right.
Unit 1. Recording 2.
So everybody, I'd like to start by asking you to introduce yourselves and say what you do very briefly.
Thanks for inviting us. I'm really interested in how this is going to work because I'm studying business. I'm Marcus, by the way.
Hi everyone, I'm Frank and I'm a banker. Good to meet you all.
I'm Sarah, also a student, but I study medicine.
Okay, and my name is Abby and I'm an estate agent here in the city centre.
Hi, I'm George. I'm a sales trainee at a retail shop in the city.
I'm Vanessa and I'm a technical writer at an IT company downtown.
Great, thanks everyone. One of our criteria for choosing you was that you all work or study in the city centre, and we're interested in finding out what you do for lunch, where you eat and what you eat.
Since we don't have a company restaurant at the bank, I usually go out to buy something quickly to have for lunch.
That sounds like me, Frank, but there are hardly any really healthy choices around here, are there? I certainly don't know of any near the university.
Sarah, same for me. That's why I usually just bring something from home because there is nowhere decent to eat near work.
George, I have the same problem at our IT company. But if there was some place nearby which had healthy food that wasn't too expensive, you would go there sometimes, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably.
I would as well. I'm often out of the office showing apartments or houses, but I try to take time for lunch, and something healthy and close would be great.
Thanks, Abby. So what you're all saying is that you try to find healthy food options for lunch that are affordable.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That seems to be what we all want, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's right.
So, yeah.
That's right. Okay, thanks. And how long is your lunch break?
I try to keep it to about 30 minutes because that's when many clients have time to come to the bank and I need to be there then. What about the rest of you?
Well, Frank, it really depends on my classes and when they are. But, Sarah, I would say we always had about an hour last semester, didn't we?
Yep.
Every day is different, but I usually manage to have close to an hour. I'm lucky because I'm responsible for my own time and just need to get the job done. But someone with less time would have more of a problem, wouldn't they?
Thanks, Vanessa. Okay, this is interesting. So I understand that most of you aim to eat healthy food for lunch on a limited budget and with limited time.
Yes.
Indeed.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right.
At this point, I'd like to show you some ideas. Here are some initial designs for a new app that we're developing. I'd like you to discuss your views on each piece of information provided. I'll also ask you what you think of how it works and how, if it helps you get what you want. As you can see here, you can start by choosing from different lunch menus. You can see photos of the meals that are offered, along with their prices, and read about their nutritional values. You can check on the fat or calories in each and also find out if they're suitable for vegetarians or vegans. The app will also list the participating restaurant or restaurants which offer the different meals and show the locations. So, then you decide where you want to get the food from the available options. When you place your order, you can decide if you want to pick it up from the restaurant, if you'd like to eat it there, or if you want it delivered, and the corresponding final price will be displayed at that point. What do you think?
Wow, sounds great. There isn't anything like this at the moment, is there?
I agree with Marcus. It really combines convenience with healthy eating, doesn't it?
Well, I'd like to try it out first. It sounds great, but we don't know how good the restaurants are, do we?
Good point, Frank. That would be essential for me too. Will that be possible, Carla?
Of course, that's part of the plan for the day. But if it's all right with you, I'd like to continue this morning by having you try out the app and tell me what you think.
Unit 1. Recording 3.
Okay, everyone. So now that you've had a look at the different menus and the options on the app, what's your general impression? I'd like you to rate the product. Could you give me a number from 1 to 10, with 10 being the best?
I still think it's really unique. I mean, nothing else is quite like this, is it? It seems to be easy to use, and the photos make me want to order the food. I'd give it an 8.
I agree with Marcus. I like the way it looks, and the idea is very appealing. For me, it's a 9.
I'll go along with Abby. Also a 9.
What specific features are the most interesting for you? Abby?
The nutritional information is great, but I'd like to know if there's a list of ingredients because I have allergies. Anyone else with this problem?
Well, not me, but my son does. So if he comes to town and we go to eat, that would make it easier to decide what to order. We can also pay with it, can't we?
Thanks, Frank and Abby. That's helpful info about the allergies. And yes, mobile payments are one of the features. Is there anything about it that doesn't meet your expectations?
Not for me. I'd actually give it a 10 from what I've seen so far.
Well, I'd really need to try it out more to decide. At the moment, I can give it a 7, but give me a week with it and that might change.
I'm with Sarah on this. I'd really need to use it for a while before I can answer that question honestly.
Me too. At the moment, I'll give it an 8, but you need to spend some time with an app to really know if it's any good or not.
Thanks, everyone. So now I'd like to ask how likely you are to use the app. Again, I need a number from 1 to 10, 10 being very likely and 1 not at all.
I guess it would depend on the variety and the overall costs for me. But if the food isn't expensive and there are lots of choices, then a 7.
For me, maybe a 5. The idea is great, but I'm not completely convinced yet. For those of us who aren't very techy, I'm afraid it might be too complicated to use.
Really, Abby? It looks pretty simple to me. I give it a 10.
I am at a 9, but let's see what it develops into. This is not the final product, is it?
No, Frank, you're right. It's still in the development stage. But your answers so far have been helpful and will help the developers to improve the functionality of this app. Now, George and Sarah, could you give me a number from 1 to 10 for whether you'd...
Unit 1. Recording 4. 1.
There isn't anything like this at the moment, is there?
2.
But if there was some place nearby which had healthy food that wasn't too expensive, you would go there sometimes, wouldn't you?
3,
It really combines convenience with healthy eating, doesn't it?
4,
But there are hardly any really healthy choices around here, are there?
5,
That seems to be what we all want, doesn't it?
6,
But someone with less time would have more of a problem, wouldn't they?
Unit 1, Recording 5.
So, having looked at the survey results in some detail, we've come up with 3 main findings, and I think important findings, which will lead us to some key recommendations. Paula will talk about these at the end. Tom, you have a question?
Thanks, John. But before we start, could you just tell us which customers were asked? I think it's important to know that we have a good representative sample of the customers. After all, they are very different and...
Sorry to interrupt, Tom, but I can answer that question straight away. Yes, the survey is very representative of all our customers, so no issues there. OK?
Fine. Very good. Thanks.
OK. Moving on, as you can see, the findings are clustered per focus group: grower, supermarkets and customer. Starting with customers, the main finding is that 85% of customers want to see significantly less plastic packaging within the next 12 months. That's a clear mandate for everyone to change, and change fast. Julia?
John, that's very ambitious. Is 12 months realistic?
That's a good point. But let me just finish with all the findings, and then we can discuss the question of change in more detail. OK?
Sure.
OK, so the second big finding was that the supermarkets have committed independently to reduce plastic food packaging by 50% in the next 2 years.
OK. Interesting.
Very, yes. And finally, and maybe a problem, the growers see the reduction of plastic to be only of medium importance in their business strategy. They don't see a clear alternative at the moment. And, to be honest, I think they are less concerned. They have other priorities. Anyone on the line have an opinion?
Yes, Hans speaking. Can I ask why growers are not concerned about plastics? Why is that exactly?
Sorry, Hans, we can't hear you very well. The connection is bad. Can you dial in again?
Okay, sorry, will do.
OK, so while we wait for Hans, those are the findings. Any first thoughts or responses?
Unit 1, Recording 6.
So, coming to recommendations, I think the first one relates back to what was said earlier, that we need a better understanding of customers' expectations, because they are a little unrealistic for us to act on. So, the suggestion would be to set up focus groups to engage and learn more about what customers actually want. Tom, any thoughts?
I'm worried about delaying. How can we change faster?
Can you clarify what you mean by change faster?
Customers talked about a 12-month response, so I guess we need to begin planning properly in 3 months.
Absolutely. So we'll set up focus groups next week, very fast, and we want to finish this process inside 6 weeks.
OK, that's good.
Hans, this is also a big topic for you.
Yes, for me the question is, how can we motivate growers to engage with this? Isn't their involvement critical to all of this?
Why do you think their involvement is so critical?
The growers use so many plastics, a lot of which are not recycled, and this creates real issues. I'm thinking, do we have the option to enforce change, to make them give up plastics if they won't do it themselves?
This is a very delicate topic which we need to respond to sensitively. I think the solution probably lies in using financial incentives to motivate change, not forcing.
Yes, my thinking too. It's for purchasing to create a joint project with the growers.
Hold on, that's a great idea, but this is not budgeted for. John, do we really have the money to invest in such a project right now?
To be perfectly frank, I can't answer that at the moment, but I'll raise it at the global purchasing meeting next week and come back to you, OK?
OK.
And finally, on the supermarket front, We want to sponsor a competition to encourage them to reduce plastics in their stores over the next 6 months. OK? Tom, what do you think?
OK, but how do we create a supermarket competition which is effective?
As I indicated a little earlier, we need to involve marketing. They've done this kind of thing before.
Yes, sounds like a good idea. I'm happy to support this.
Great. So let's talk about what needs to happen next.
Unit 2, Recording 1. 1.
One of the biggest challenges is getting everyone to talk, particularly those who are not confident with their English. The worst thing is when people don't say anything, and sometimes when people talk too much. My main advice would be to ask quieter people directly to say something by asking a question like, "Mike, what do you think?" This way you pull them in and tell the noisier people to be quieter. For example, "Thanks, Paul, but can we hear some other ideas?"
2.
I work in Dubai, which is very international. That is good, as there are so many different types of people from around the world. Lots of experience and ideas, but it also means a lot of different ideas, which can lead to arguments sometimes. So, it's very important to encourage people to say what they think, but really, to show respect and curiosity for ideas which are different to theirs. This usually helps when building teamwork.
3.
With teams, there are so many different ideas and ways people prefer to do things. I like to focus people on the common ground, shared objectives, get people on the same page. Like they say, there is no I in a team, and the we is the focus point in my opinion, the common interest in a team. This is the same whether it's an international or domestic team.
Unit 2, Recording 2.
What I was saying, so let's move on to the sales topic. I think we're all in the same boat here with numbers down across all the regions. I think 10% on average. So we need to get things moving in a positive direction. Ray, any thoughts on how best to tackle this?
I think it has to be about digital marketing. We need to increase spending here. Really, it's a no-brainer. We need to diversify and not have all our eggs in one basket.
No, that won't work.
But, Frank, the world is going online, even for luxury chocolate. We're still relying too much on glossy magazines and television promotion. I just feel it's really time to invest more in digital.
I totally disagree. In our markets, people are not so digital when it comes to luxury chocolates.
Yes, but we might be able to...
No, I insist. Online sales are low. People still buy mostly in stores in my markets. They respond well to traditional advertising.
Hold on. Let's not dismiss this idea too quickly. Aaron, you haven't commented so far and you have a lot of digital experience. Any reflections on Ray's suggestions?
Well, but it doesn't work for Germany in this particular sector and for this type of product. Or for the UK.
Okay. We're not really seeing eye to eye on this. I think we need to slow down a bit. Let's take a 10-minute coffee break and then see how we can come up with some solutions. Maria, are you still there?
Yes.
Take 10. We all need a break.
Unit 2, Recording 3.
Okay, so where were we? Maria, what do you think about Ray's idea to focus on digital?
Digital is a clear trend, so I would support it. I think investment in website functionality is probably vital to drive more sales.
Definitely. We're falling behind our competitors. But it's not just about website. It's digital marketing which is the problem.
So let me just make sure everyone understood that. For you, Ray, it's more digital marketing than website, per se.
Yes, the marketing is really problematic.
Okay. Arun?
But I think the website itself is really the main issue because...
Maria, if I can just stop you there because I want to hear some other views now. Aaron, you haven't commented so far. What's your take on this?
You know, I think both perspectives are valid, but I have some data from the USA which shows that digital marketing can really impact on sales very quickly. It can be a game changer, and selling online really depends on having a great website experience, especially for luxury markets. I'll pass it on to you all.
Great. Okay, Maria, for you, what might be the benefits of website investment?
Look, I'm sure website investment can increase visibility and sales, but it is a cost. I think a business case would be good.
Excellent idea. And that is your area, Maria. Can you put together a business case for us with costs and benefits to give us a better basis to decide? Just ballpark figures will do.
Okay, I can do that.
Very good. And Ray, can you support? It would be good if you worked together.
Sure, happy to.
Good. So, let me just make sure we're all on the same page before we move on to discuss.
Unit 3, Recording 1.
My parents thought it would be a good idea for me to study medicine in Dublin, and we have family in Ireland, so I liked the idea. The problem was that it's difficult living on a student income, and when you're far away from home, you can't ask your parents for $20 to go out one evening. You have to ask them for a money transfer, and I felt bad asking them because the university fees were so expensive. Then there's the cost of living in Dublin, which isn't cheap. To start with, I had to put a deposit down for the rent. It's pretty expensive here compared to back home in Arizona. And coming from a hot climate, as soon as I arrived, I needed to buy new clothes, warmer clothes, and boots, and I would put the heating up really high because I felt so cold. But this meant our utility bills got more expensive, and my flatmate complained. Being a typical student, I was also spending a lot of money on going out, especially eating out and public transport, too. So by the end of my first term, I wasn't doing well getting by on my student allowance from my parents. I ran up huge debts, and I had to dip into my savings account, and I got a small loan because I didn't want to ask my parents for more money. I was worried I wouldn't be able to pay them back, but I was paying a high interest rate on the loan, so things just got worse, and I carried on spending and spending. And finally, when I got back home in the summer, that's when I told my family about my money trouble. They were pretty understanding, and very kindly they agreed to pay off my debts, but they wouldn't put up my student allowance. And I promised I would tell them if I wasn't managing well, so we could work something out sooner rather than later. My dad has also paid for a bike, and that has helped to cut down on my travel expenses. My flatmate also came up with ideas for saving money. She told me about the cheapest stores in town, and instead of eating out this year, we've decided we'll eat in, and we can invite friends round.
Unit 3, Recording 2.
Most of my friends went to university after we finished school, but I wanted to get a job first and save up before studying at university. I didn't think it was fair to ask my mum for money to travel or take a year out and then run up debts. So I started working for a telecom company in customer service, and I carried on living with my mum. Of course, I paid towards the bills, but I didn't have to pay rent, so that was a huge saving. Meanwhile, I saw how my friends, who lived in student accommodation, were spending most of their money on rent and going out and then asking their parents for more money to go on holiday. I didn't want that. I had decided that I wanted to study later as a mature student after I had bought my own studio flat. That way I would be able to study comfortably in my own place, and I wouldn't have to worry about falling behind with paying the rent or living with flatmates who play their music too loud all the time. After a year of working in customer service, I started working for an insurance company doing admin. I was putting money by every month, and I managed to save up quite a bit after 4 years, and together with some money I'd inherited, I paid a deposit for my own flat. Luckily, my grandfather, who had passed away, had set up a trust fund for me, which I could use when I turned 21. So I got a mortgage, and that's when I applied for university. I'm studying business administration now, and I'm really enjoying it. Most of my friends are mature students because the first-year students are more interested in partying than studying, but I can see how young people have trouble getting by on a student grant or a student loan. For many students, it's the first time you're away from home. It can be a very stressful time, and then something comes up. I mean, suddenly your rent goes up, or you get an unexpected expense, like your computer breaks down. You have to learn a lot of life skills very fast. In fact, a group of us have set up an initiative called Managing Your Money. We've got a blog with financial advice, and once a month, we arrange for a financial advisor to give a talk on, for instance, how to manage on a low budget and keep a record of your expenses. I'm looking forward to hearing next week's talk. It's on how to negotiate with your bank manager when taking out a bank loan. When I finish my degree, I want to start my own business, and I'm sure I'll need to borrow some capital to get going.
Unit 3. Recording 3.
So, in conclusion, that's why I think we should further develop our banking app to include customer features which can help them track their spending and also give them personalised tips linked to their spending habits.
Thanks, Charlie. That was very interesting, though I'm sorry to say I'm not entirely convinced. Both of your proposals will cost time and money to develop, and we simply don't have a lot of either at the moment.
That may be true, Marianne, but when you consider the big picture, you'll see that our market share is shrinking.
OK, you're not wrong there.
We should rethink our current strategy, as otherwise we'll lose out to our competitors. The overall market has become more competitive with new virtual banking services. This idea is the best opportunity we have of offering added value to our existing customers and to make us interesting for new customers in the short term.
That may be, but we simply don't have the budget for it. What you're suggesting will cost too much.
I can see why there might be objections. However, if we want to create something quickly that's of high quality, then we need to spend the money.
I see your point, but maybe we should look at other options, such as...
Let me break down the main reasons this proposal is the best one we have. Firstly, we already have a banking app. It's not like we have to build something from scratch.
That's true.
Secondly, our users are asking for more features when giving online reviews of our app. And finally, we can make it sticky so we don't lose customers.
Sorry?
By sticky, I mean we can try to make customers dependent on these features so they're less likely to switch banks.
I see.
You'll see I also have the backing of the others in the room.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
OK, Charlie, I take your point, and I can sense your personal investment in this idea also. But committing to this action would mean taking on more things to do in your role. I don't want you getting distracted from the main areas we've budgeted for.
I understand, but we're all in this together. We won't achieve our collective targets if we don't spread our focus area and consider redistributing the budget.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Of course, Marco, go ahead.
Charlie has laid out the situation very clearly. And as I see it, if we fail to act, then we lose an opportunity to engage our customers. How about if we do go for the first feature, the one that tracks spending? We can do this quickly and to a high standard. And this is something that will have a real impact on customer engagement and satisfaction.
Yes, good idea, Marco. And then we move a little slower with the second feature, the one with personalized tips. The consequences of that would be that the overall cost is lower. We still do it to a high quality, just not as quickly, so we don't have to drop other priorities. These are the reasons which warrant doing it this way.
OK, Charlie, you're persistent. And you've convinced me. Please draw up a new draft budget as you're proposing.
Thanks, Marianne. Will do.
Unit 4. Recording 1.
One time, I tried to have a conversation with my manager about why she kept moving the project deadlines, but she wasn't listening to me. She avoided the issue and kept changing the subject. So I was persistent and asked again. I said I wanted to know because her constant changes were putting me under pressure. This was when she became angry and defensive and the discussion broke down. She said she had to go to a meeting and we haven't been able to talk about it again since then. I'm not very happy about the situation.
Unit 4. Recording 2.
Well, to be honest, Martin, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get the team leader position and Pablo got it instead.
Oh, right. I understand, Daniela, but I'm afraid Pablo was just the right person for the job, and I don't think you quite fit a team leader profile yet.
I don't think that's a fair reflection of the facts, Martin.
Pablo's a good listener and has both excellent IT skills and a proven ability to influence others.
Maybe, but I also have those skills.
I'm not saying you don't.
Okay, can we look at this objectively for a moment? If I follow you correctly, you mean that even though Pablo and I have similar skills and abilities, you think that he was still the better person for the job. Is that right?
Well, yes.
So, to put it differently, you're saying that the additional years of project planning experience I have over Pablo didn't matter in this case?
Oh, sure, your experience is extensive and very useful in your current role. Anyway, the team you're currently in would struggle without you, and it's best you stay where you are, at least until your current project is finished.
Okay, I can see the benefits of what you're saying, and that doesn't sound unreasonable. Are you perhaps overlooking my recent performance, though? Can we talk about that for a moment?
Sure, it's all fine.
I know. I've met all my KPIs for the past 9 months and have worked outside my area of responsibility when needed.
Yes, that's all been good, and I appreciate you stepping up beyond your role when necessary.
Thanks. So, bearing that in mind, can you elaborate on what I might be able to do after this current project?
Well, there are a few new projects coming next year. For example, we'll need someone to lead on the new customer software implementation.
That sounds interesting. So, what would need to happen for us to move beyond this current situation?
Well, I guess some further training could be useful.
Okay, thanks. Can we discuss some logical next steps more clearly?
Sure. Let's talk again next week to agree what further training you might need to be ready for a new role.
Thanks, Martin. That's a good way forward. I was worried this was going to be a difficult conversation.
Wasn't it?
Not really. See you later.
Unit 5. Recording 1.
So, bonjour everybody. Many thanks to Jean and Pierre for inviting me here today to speak about international careers and the opportunities they bring for you. As you know, I work as head of HR for CAFXL, which is a global technology company with offices all over the world. We are also a company which supports young professionals and young talent to develop an international career as soon as possible. Of course, you'll ask, Why are we so focused on developing international careers for people? I think there are three main advantages we speak about. Firstly, one clear benefit is that you get the opportunity to learn about the customer. We sell our products all over the world, and our customers are all over the world. We need people to understand our customers very, very well, and the best way is to work in the country close to them. And believe me, customers are very different. Some buy our products for our technology features, some for our design, some for our price. Remember, at the end of the day, business is all about relationships and networks. So, traveling is not only a way to experience working in fantastic places, but also it allows you to build on important customer relationships, which can be vital in the future. The second big benefit for you is the opportunity for fast-track promotion. We send people around the world who we see as talents, who we see as future leaders. So, if you do join our international career program, it means we want you to succeed quickly. We want to promote you to your next role. It's important to know this. You will only reach a senior level in this company if you have 333. You have worked for us in 3 countries. You have the ability to communicate in 3 languages, and you have experience of 3 different job functions. So, going international early is the only way to the top. And data on early career travel proves without doubt that this is a reality. But you know what we also say at CAF is even if things don't go well and living and working abroad is not for you, you'll still be able to come home. We'll look after you and find you a job at home that suits you. Finally, and this may sound like an obvious point, an international career gives you the opportunity to become open, really open for new ideas, new processes, new solutions, and makes you more creative and able to drive innovation, which is essential for us to survive. And if we talk about survival, just to close before I take some questions, I want to mention social responsibility, which today is very important in CAF Excel. We expect our leaders of the future to take responsibility, not just for business results, but for the world in which we all live. We expect leaders to think internationally, to understand the international environment, and make a positive contribution with CAF Excel to the planet. In a nutshell, travel is not an option. It's an obligation. If you don't commit to travel, then you'll never broaden your understanding of the world. And you'll also limit your opportunities to make a difference to future generations. At CAF Excel, we want people who want to make a difference. So, if that interests you, what next? It's simply a matter of taking a look at our website, learning more about us, and registering interest on the careers portal by posting your CV. We would be delighted to talk to you. Thank you.
Unit 6, Recording 1.
Hello, and thank you for listening to this Business Basics podcast. My guest today is a lecturer in business strategy, Carmen Rodriguez. Many thanks for joining us on the podcast, Carmen, and for taking the time to talk to us about business partnerships, specifically the different types of business partnerships that companies can enter into.
My pleasure, George. Now, as there are so many different possibilities, I thought it would be best to limit this to strategic alliances, mergers, and acquisitions.
That sounds fine, thanks.
Great! Then let's start with strategic alliances. These are well known as they are common in the travel business. Many airlines have entered into them, and customers are often familiar with them through code sharing or mileage programs.
Can you explain exactly how they work?
Of course. A strategic alliance is an agreement that is set up legally by lawyers between two or more companies. It allows the companies to share different parts of their business assets with each other, such as access to their technology, their trademarks and brands, and so on.
Yes, that sounds familiar. But why do companies do this? What advantages do they have?
Well, they generally choose predefined business areas for specific time periods and look for companies with goals that are mutually beneficial. In other words, companies usually form strategic alliances when each of them has a business asset or expertise that the other feels it can benefit from. Both then feel they are in a win-win situation and can make use of the synergy that comes from working together.
But they remain independent entities?
Exactly. One of the advantages of a strategic alliance is that it doesn't result in a new company as a merger does. This can prevent companies regretting it later and thinking, we really shouldn't have joined forces with so-and-so because of all the problems it's caused.
So, is it easier to retreat from a strategic alliance than another form of business partnership?
Absolutely. It's just necessary to inform employees, customers, and other stakeholders that you are winding down and possibly reallocating work and roles.
And mergers, how do they work?
In a merger, two companies enter into a deal to form one new company. Sometimes they combine their names and sometimes find a new one.
So, would you say that a merger is more permanent than a strategic alliance?
Yes, definitely. In a merger, two similar-sized companies consolidate and become a new entity. The management structure is generally new and includes members of both the previous companies. Ownership is also new. Mergers do not occur very often, as the leadership of one, or perhaps both, of the companies has to hand over power to someone else. The shares of the company may be bought back or converted into a new number of shares and reissued with the name of the new company.
It does seem like it would be difficult to find two companies who are willing to do this. I can imagine after the event, management being unhappy and saying things like, we ought to have been consulted before this was agreed.
Yes, that can happen, but basically both companies agree to the merger and they are still considered to be friendlier than acquisitions. There are clear advantages of mergers, however, which include increasing efficiency and decreasing competition in a particular field. For small companies, this can be a good way to grow, and executives have been heard to say things like, we couldn't have predicted that merging with another company would make us the market leader in only a few years.
I see. And can you explain acquisitions to us?
Of course. In an acquisition, one business completely buys out or takes over another one. No new company is formed, and the smaller company stops existing completely. Well-known brand names may be kept, however, or even be made into a separate division in the new company.
And its assets?
They become part of the company which bought them. This is generally seen more negatively than either strategic alliances or mergers.
Aren't these also known as takeovers?
Yes, although there are small technical differences between the two. These acquisitions can be considered friendly or hostile depending on the situation of the company being taken over. Acquisitions generally take place because the stronger company is looking to grow as quickly as possible and feels that ownership of the weaker company gives them that chance.
Thanks so much for this, Carmen. It's been really useful for me, and I'm sure it will clarify things for our listeners too.
Delighted to speak to you. Thanks for asking me to do the interview.
Unit 6, Recording 2.
Okay, thanks everyone. Let's get started. So to begin, I just want to think about the final project report, which needs to focus on any significant mistakes or oversights made in the project. Then we can talk about lessons learnt from these mistakes, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to get the ball rolling, and I think it's clear, looking back, that because of time pressure, there was a lack of detailed planning. So, pretty soon after we got started, we had quite a few unexpected issues, which then led to problems controlling costs and a few project delays.
Exactly.
The big mistakes were with our partners, the Polish software developers. They delivered software with so many bugs, and it meant that the people who had to use the software lost trust in us, in our ability to deliver the project. They simply stopped cooperating.
That's true, David. I had a lot of conversations with our users about trust. They weren't confident the software would ever work.
In many ways, I think that the main problem was a leadership failure on our side, if we're honest. I feel that the developers in Poland lacked expertise and experience, but we didn't provide clear leadership. They had to make decisions under pressure. They didn't know exactly what to deliver, and they got it wrong. But it wasn't just their fault, it was ours.
Yes, there's probably a lot of truth in that, Anna. We can't just blame everybody else. But senior management will read this report. We need to be careful what we say about ourselves. So, what do we put in the report?
Unit 6, Recording 3.
With those systems especially, I think you're...
So, we need to agree on some recommendations based on lessons learnt from the project. Any thoughts, Joe?
I think with hindsight, we should have used a proper project planning tool to support us. It's a bit crazy. We actually commission and develop software on a professional basis, and we didn't have a decent project management program for ourselves.
Very true. Using a better planning tool would have improved things.
There was a lot of pressure on us to get going quickly, Paul. When we did that, we just ran into problems.
Okay, so our main recommendation. What do we want to write in the report?
I would recommend that the company buys Go Project. It's the best planning tool on the market at the moment, and make it available to all major projects in the company.
Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, what else? David?
Well, I think it's clear from the earlier discussion that we didn't manage our external developers very effectively. One thing I hadn't expected was that they'd need so much guidance. I think we all just assumed they'd know what to do.
So could we have documented our requirements more clearly?
Definitely. That must be a recommendation.
Okay, so we should develop clearer documentation and templates for external partners.
Yes, and I'm happy to look at that. Come up with some new templates.
Okay, great. So, anything else?
I think in addition to tools and documentation, the key takeaway for me is building on relationships. The major issue was around trust.
I agree. If we'd spent much more time getting to know the other team and understanding their expertise levels, we would have identified any problems earlier. But we didn't do it. We relied on email and conference calls. Working like this just caused constant misunderstanding.
Yes, we need to recommend more time investment in building relationships for future projects.
Okay, I'm happy with that. But is there a specific recommendation?
Yes, going forward, I would suggest that project leaders have to budget for regular travel to meet external partners, so they can create a clear and common picture of the project and develop trust.
Okay, so I think that's everything on specific recommendations. Just to say, I feel, all in all, the project has been a success. We achieved a lot, and I intend to make that point in the report.
Yeah,
Yes,
agreed.
sure. Yep.
Okay, then can we just take a few minutes to...
Unit 7, Recording 1.
OK, thanks for making time for this meeting. I know how busy you all are. And it's great to have you all involved in this new project. I'm really looking forward to working with you all. Now, before we start planning the project, we need to analyse the situation so we can better understand the possible risks, especially in the new market areas we are less familiar with.
What would you like us to do, Marian?
Yes, what should we look into?
I'd like to look into things that can go wrong, as I feel there may be some not on our radar.
On our radar?
Sorry, Lena. I mean, I don't think we're aware of them. We don't know what we don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Ah, yes.
Would you like me to look into it and see if I can identify the risks?
Yes, Nisha, thank you. I know we can use various methods to establish which risks we're facing and then consider the impact of each risk.
How about a probability impact matrix?
A what, Julio?
A probability impact matrix. It's a matrix, or graph, you can use to identify whether risks are high, medium, or low. You have two axes. You plot the probability of something happening on the vertical axis. That means you decide how likely you think it is to happen, if it is high, medium, or low probability.
Okay, I see.
Then, on the other axis, the horizontal one, you think about the effect or impact of that thing happening. Will it have a high, medium, or low impact if it happens? You then move up from the bottom and in from the left at the same time until the probability intersects with impact. And then you get an overall risk rating of low, medium, or high.
Yes, that's it. Thanks, Julio. We can use it to help us decide which action to take with each risk we're facing. Can each of you please identify the key risk in your area, how likely it is to happen, and what the impact would be if it did happen?
Sure.
Yes.
Great. Let's pick this up again in Friday's meeting. OK, let's move on to the next item on today's agenda.
Unit 7. Recording 2.
Hi again, everyone. I hope you've had time to look into the risks we discussed earlier in the week. So, what did you find out?
Well, from our analysis, we identified 3 main areas of risk.
The first one is a low risk. It's that we run over schedule on the project. Let me show you here on the matrix. There's a medium level of probability that it will happen, and if it does, the impact will be low. So, we can position the risk here, on the matrix, on the left, at mid-height.
I see. So, why is it there?
Well, you know we have built extra time into the schedule, so we can afford to run over a little.
OK, let's forget this one for now then. What's next? Lena?
The second risk is the issue of employee turnover. If people change their jobs or leave the company in the middle of the project, we'll lose time briefing people and handing over tasks.
There's only a low level of probability it will happen, as it's a short project, and if it does, there will only be a medium impact. So that gives us a low overall risk, as I've indicated here on the matrix.
Fine, Julio. Let's address this one next week, and we can put a handover plan in place. Anything else?
Well, the third risk is that we found a flood risk in the new testing area. It's near the river, and water levels can be unpredictable in spring when the snow in the mountains melts, and that'll be in 3 months.
You mean we're going to get flooded?
It's very likely this will happen, so we obviously want to avoid that.
Yes, if that happens and we're not ready, the effect would be catastrophic for our project. This is why we've positioned it high on both axes of the matrix.
OK, there is an urgent need to mitigate this one as soon as possible. We're going to prioritise this. So, everyone needs to get...
Unit 8. Recording 1.
So, I'd like you all to give a very warm welcome to Professor Clarence Faulkner.
Thank you for that flattering introduction, Professor Bauer, and for inviting me to the university in Weimar. And thank you for calling me a business expert. I'm delighted to be here with you today in Weimar, home to many eminent German figures, of course, like Goethe, Schiller, Liszt, and the creators of the Bauhaus movement such as Paul Klee. Now, I'm sure those successful writers, composers, artists, and architects would have taken many successful decisions in their professional lives. And you've probably already made many successful decisions so far. To study for this business degree, to come to Weimar, and to come and listen to me speak. But seriously, what I'm talking about today is how to make your decision-making more successful. Have you ever decided to do something just following your intuition? I certainly have. I did this morning. Although it's March, when I looked out of my hotel window, I saw there was still snow on the ground and decided to put on some gloves. That was a good move. And you ever put off making an important decision? Yes? We all do. Why? I think we sometimes put off taking decisions because we are afraid of taking the wrong decision. Some people avoid taking any decision. But in doing that, we actually make another person decide for us. And what about making the wrong decision? Hands up if you've ever regretted making a bad decision. That's almost everyone in the room, right? Well, last night I hadn't booked a table at the restaurant next to my hotel. I thought it wouldn't be necessary on a Monday night. But then I needed to wait an hour. That was a bad decision. We all make bad decisions at some point in our lives, don't we? The thing is, we often rely on our intuition or instinct, but decision-making actually requires two things: prediction and good judgment. So, today I'd like to share with you 3 rules to help you with your decision-making in your professional lives. First of all, rule number 1, be less certain. Be less certain. You'll all probably agree that considering all the pros and cons is a key part of decision-making. To take that a step further, to come to a good decision, we need to understand how different choices change the probability of different outcomes. Yet most people are overconfident when considering important decisions. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman has said that overconfidence is the first bias we should remove. This overconfidence is very common, he says, especially among men. That's right, men more than women. But not only men, also the rich and, ironically, experts. I'm the exception, of course. What I'm saying is, if you think option A will lead to outcome B, this outcome is actually less likely than you think. So you need to ask yourself, what else could happen if I were less certain that option A would cause outcome B? So rule number 1 is, remember to be less certain about your predictions. Don't worry, we can't always be right.
Unit 8, Recording 2.
Now, the next rule, rule number 2, is ask yourself, how often does this usually happen? Let me tell you a story. It's not my story, it's actually Kahneman's story. He talks about a time when he was collaborating on a textbook, and he asked his co-writers to estimate the date when they would complete the first draft, the first version of the textbook. Everyone, including Kahneman, said somewhere between 18 months and 2.5 years. Then he asked one of those co-authors who'd been involved in many textbook projects how long it usually took. The co-author answered that 40% of groups never finished a book, and he couldn't think of a project that had finished in less than 7 years. So, this person had answered Kahneman's first question without thinking about his actual previous experiences. That was a mistake. The point of the story is that they should have considered how long similar projects usually take before giving an answer. What are the implications of that? Well, next time you need to make a decision, it's worth remembering the question, how often does something usually happen? For instance, if you're considering beginning a startup, you might want to ask, what percentage of startups fail? Or What percentage survive the first year? This rule is known as the base rate and is used a lot in research on prediction. It can help us with our judgment to make better decisions. Let's go back to the example of starting a business. So you're thinking about setting up a company. Imagine you're weighing up your options. You're weighing up the possibility of spending years on a company that might fail, or staying in your current job. Another question could be, how often do entrepreneurs who fail end up wishing they'd stayed in their previous job? The idea here is that we should get away from the inside view, where the specific details of our decision get in the way of our analysis. Instead, try taking an outside view, where you look at similar cases before considering your own personal situation. Try looking at a problem from a different perspective. Be more objective. Does that make sense?
Unit 8, Recording 3.
That brings me to the third rule. Rule number 3 is try to think in terms of probability. Research has shown that even basic training in probability makes people better at forecasting and helps them predict better outcomes. Probability helps us to avoid certain cognitive biases. One way to improve your decision-making is to start studying probability. There are lots of videos explaining probability on the internet. In fact, I'll show you one from the Khan Academy in my next talk. Improving your ability to think about probability will help you to apply the other 2 rules. The 3 rules together are more powerful than one rule on its own. There's no point in using only one of them. Really effective decision makers recognize that even apparently simple decisions can be hard. So now I'm going to test you. Are you good at remembering stuff? Okay. What was the first rule?
Be less certain.
Brilliant. Secondly, ask yourself the question, how often does this
Usually happen.
That's right, and take an outside view. And thirdly, try to learn more about
Probability.
Exactly. Thanks for listening. I'll be happy to take any questions now.
Unit 8, Recording 4.
Hi, Jack. Do you have a minute?
Sure, what's up, Vera?
Well, I've been developing an idea with David from the marketing team, which we thought could help the company, but now I'm not so sure.
Okay, and?
Well, we've been doing this on our own, without having been asked to. I feel like we're spending too much time on it. Or at least, I don't have time for it anymore. I don't think it's a priority, at least not right now.
I see.
I feel we should take a break from working on it, but I think David's really into it. He's so enthusiastic about it, and I don't want to upset him or damage our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see my difficulty?
Yes, that does sound like a dilemma.
Unit 8, Recording 5.
Hi, Vera. How's it going?
Well, actually, David, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead.
There's no easy way to say this, so I'll just say it. I don't think we should continue working on our marketing idea.
Really? I wasn't expecting that.
Well, initially it looked like a good idea, but now I'm not so sure. We never got asked to do this, and I'm afraid that we're wasting our time.
You're kidding. We've spent a lot of time on this already, and you tell me now that you think we're wasting our time? Come on.
I'm sorry, David. I'm sure this is frustrating for you. I'm really overloaded at the moment, and there are too many other priorities for my boss right now.
I see. To be honest, I have an issue with the lack of support we have for this type of thing. If we were actually given time to work on new ideas, we wouldn't feel under so much pressure and that we're struggling to find time to work on this.
I know. And we both have the same perspective. We want to create something of benefit for the company.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't want to cause any hostility between us. I can see you're really into it.
Vera, don't worry about that. Everything's fine. I'd like to find a quick resolution where we can keep all interests in focus.
I would too.
So, how do you think we can get beyond this?
The most important thing for me is that there's no bad blood between us if we stop working on this now. I'd like to get a feeling for your priorities.
Yes, that's mine too. And I really don't want you to be under pressure or feeling stressed.
Thanks, David. I'm sorry. I feel we need to think about stopping for the moment then. How will it negatively affect you if we decide to drop it or at least put it on hold?
Well, yes, it's taking time, but I think we can create something really useful for the company. And to be honest, I need something positive I can bring to my boss. My last project failed, so I'd appreciate your help.
I see. I didn't know. Unfortunately, as I said, I'm under pressure at the moment and don't have much time. We need to think about both mutual and individual gain.
Look, I have a crazy workload at the moment too. Let's put it on hold for a few weeks until our time pressures ease.
Good idea. Okay, but we'll try to revisit it in a few weeks. Future collaboration in this is in both of our interests.
Okay, let's catch up again in a few weeks. Thanks, Vera.